Here we are, 2021 Escalade. I can never say Escalade
Escalade.
ever again because of a friend of mine who is from Lima, Peru, always pronounced these Escalade. And it's stuck. It's the Escalade. So now
It
you
does
can
sound
never
better. You're
unhear
right.
that.
Yeah.
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels dedicated to great cars, driving adventures, and helping you find a car you'll love.
subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing.
As you know, the last Cadillac that we had, I was pretty hard on.
Yeah.
It was the CT4.
Yeah.
I gave it no quarter. I didn't like it at all, as a matter of fact. You didn't like it. I really didn't
That's
like
true.
it.
I wasn't a big fan. You were at a whole other level. You're right.
So I come to this with no expectations, thinking, all right, it's the new Escalade with $110,000 worth of price point here. And I have decided that Cadillac is rediscovering their experience. They've kind of shied away from that and tried to be different things, and they haven't really settled on one, but they're back to the experience because this is not about driving. It isn't.
True.
It's about the experience.
It's an
and
incredible
enjoying
place to
it.
be, though. You're absolutely right. And when you have these big monster SUVs, honestly, you're limited in how much of a driving experience you can even include. It really needs to be, I would like to be here.
Is that even on the checkbox?
I mean, that's,
well,
that's
hey,
really
Mercedes
hard,
does
yeah.
it.
But the Mercedes GLS, let's go there real quick, that we both really like,
Yeah.
is nearly $50,000 more than this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah,
I'd happily
okay, you
pay
got
it too.
Well, fine, but that's a huge shift. And I have to say that knowing how much we like the GLS, when I got into this, I thought, I don't know if the Escalade can possibly compete. And the more I drove it, the more I thought, this is a phenomenal effort on the part of GM. It's one of the best GM cars I've driven, I think, since the C8. Because we had the new Tahoe recently, which is the same platform.
Yeah.
And the big headline for the Tahoe and for this is just, it's bigger. Every possible dimension you can think of. It's got like 40% more extra legroom in the third row and
it's
almost
huge.
70% more cargo space behind that third row, and that's not with the extended wheelbase.
Yeah.
That's just this one, which is the same size as the Tahoe. So this is as big as that new Tahoe, which is great. It has that new limited slip differential independent rear suspension in it, which does help the ride and the handling. I think this is, and I'll talk about it further, I think this is a home run for Cadillac, which is fascinating considering that CT4 we had wasn't a V, it was just a CT4. We kept scratching our heads going, what happened here? And this is a home run.
You're right. This is a home run. And there's two major stories going on here. Todd already said it. It's the independent rear suspension, which is the story of the Tahoe and the Suburban, and this, even the ESV. This is not the long wheelbase version, which is the ESV. And so this has transformed the ride quality. Not just independent rear, but you can get it with the adaptive air ride suspension and MagneRide, both of which are on here.
Yes, which is amazing.
It doesn't float though. It manages its weight. It's very heavy, but it manages its weight. It's not a driver's vehicle, but
No.
it really makes you experience and just sort of, it's the expectation that you think Cadillac, it should just drive well, and it does drive well. It's just not a driver's car, but who cares? It's a truck.
I think it does drive, to your point, what you kind of expect a Cadillac to drive like. I think we all climb into Cadillacs and we kind of imagine that it's going to be a wonderful place to be with a very smooth ride, and I think it does all of those. One thing I did notice is that in slow parking lot maneuvers, it can feel a little stiff because that air ride's kind of trying to do something all the time with 5,800 pounds. It's constantly adjusting and hissing, and it's constantly figuring out. So at a slow parking lot thing, I ran into a couple little bumps and stuff in the parking lot. I couldn't believe how stiff and hard the ride was. Conversely, I was driving along on a section of highway here near us, going along at about 75, 80 or so, and I hit a imperfection, not a full pothole, but an imperfection in the highway that I've hit in lots of other vehicles, and I barely felt it. So that was the thing that did impress me, is that at high speed, it carries all this weight so well that it just smooths out imperfections of the road.
Well, let's start with the basics. This is a truck. It's
Yes.
got the V8, 6.2 liter V8. It makes 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque.
This is the engine we wish we had in the Tahoe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The only other engine available here is the Duramax diesel, the turbo diesel, the inline-six turbo diesel, 3 liters. That makes 277 horsepower, but the same amount of torque that the V8 offers. Usually when you buy the diesel, you're getting a whole bunch more torque than anything else offered.
Yep.
But it's the same amount of torque. What you are getting is a little bit better fuel economy because
But not
this
much.
is still not great.
We talked about that in the Tahoe. It's not nearly as good as you would
Kind of
expect.
pleasing to think, yeah, this is the future. We still haven't gotten there with a big thirsty V8. They're still bad on fuel mileage.
Just drive a big. But here's the thing: it's not
just
so much
is.
worse than the diesel that you can't just get the 6.2
That's
and
true.
be like, it's fine.
But get this. Ford has been doing the independent rear suspension on the Expedition for a decade.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even with that engine, it's 1,200 more pounds of towing capacity than this. Even though you do get the trailer brake integrated over here, and it's designed to, I think, tow your horse trailer because it includes the trailer brake and the trailer app. So you can really know what's going on with your trailer.
Please stare at your phone.
Please.
Please stare at the app while you're driving. See how the horsies are doing. How
I'm
are my
telling ya,
horsies doing?
That is the target market.
That's
you
funny.
own the Escalade and you have a 2-horse trailer. And that's what
Escalade.
you tow
and I'm looking
around.
at my horses.
Uh-huh.
Yay!
For sure. But the Expedition is still more. With the V8, it's almost 2,000 pounds more capacity for the Expedition than the Escalade.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, I'm just noting that. Doesn't matter, but you don't get the ride quality that this has.
It is
it's
excellent. It's
spectacular.
really, really good,
Through
yeah.
these corners, I'm not thinking corners, let's get after it.
No,
It's
no.
just smooth and level and just
Yeah,
a nice place to
yeah.
be. I see this being for road trips. So 10-speed automatic transmission, I see the same lever that you see in every other Cadillac. Here it is again.
The
and
lever
same
here
binnacle.
and the HVAC system, that's identical, but
Yes.
above that is where the CT4 really went wrong and where this really shines.
I mean, that wasn't the only place the CT4 went
fine,
wrong.
but in interior discussion,
One
once we
of
got
many.
above the HVAC controls, we were like, what is going on here with the 3 volume knobs and other weirdness?
Yeah.
This is a huge victory. I can't believe how
really
good
is.
this dash is.
And it should be for
Yes, it should.
$110,000, and you think Cadillac. Cadillac is for your wants. It's never been for your needs, ever.
Interesting.
With the exception of the failures, Cadillac has made a name for itself in racing and has victorious cars that we actually love.
Yeah, yeah.
So put that aside, it's because you want it, not because
You're
you
right.
need it. Think back to the 60s Cadillacs. You just wanted them. Nobody needed a car that big and that amount of power and tech
Sure,
and all that stuff.
sure, yeah.
You could buy Buicks and Fords and all this other stuff. Who
Yeah,
cares?
yeah.
But the Cadillac, that said something about you.
You're right,
You
you're right.
want it. And I feel like it is back with this.
This lives up to that thing we talked about where recently Cadillac uses their slogan, the standard of the world, and we got in the CT4 and we went, what happened? I get in this and I go, okay, all right. At $100,000, what do you get that beats this? Now, 150, you
have
could
to
argue the
add more money.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
But that's 150. That's 50% more than this, and it's not, and I like it, it's not 50% more car. It is not, I
It
don't
does
think it's worth
drive
that price.
better. I mean,
well,
it
it drives
actually
it
handles
drives
well.
smaller than
Yeah.
this does. This never drives small, but you don't buy this to be small.
does
You buy
not
this
drive
just
small.
to drive cross country while towing something, while being
Your horses.
unbelievably comfortable. Yeah, there you go. And
Towing
checking
your
on the
horses.
app.
Can you feed them from the app? Can you like the dispenser?
You get a little dispenser. I'm
The
sure.
hay
I'm sure
dispenser.
that exists. Somebody's going to build it if they haven't already. Yeah.
Let's talk about styling. Big, blocky, squarish, rectangular styling has always indicated luxury or off-road or some combination of both. We all know this is not built for off-road. But if you look at this, they're not going to really invest too many dollars in changing a lot of the sheet metal from the Tahoe and the Suburban.
Yes, it looks very similar in those regards.
So
yes.
the exterior, the doors, the roof, that kind of thing. So what can you change? Hood is easy to do, and the front and rear clip. You can do the rockers a little bit too, but I actually think it works. It shouldn't be out of control styling. It's a huge, massive front
It
end.
is. It's huge.
With the Pentagon Cadillac grille that is in your face.
I love that they've gotten rid of
That's
the
what it's
the
saying.
laurels around it. I just like that
Yes,
big Cadillac
that
shield
does
is
look
really
better.
awesome.
So
yeah.
to get in the rear, you just push the Cadillac symbol, you just push it to open. That's the electric switch.
Yep.
And the taillights actually look good because this is just a huge blocky
enormous,
shape.
yeah.
So there's very subtle things around with the taillight design, with the headlight design. And the other unique thing is the C-pillar. There's a lot of converging lines right there.
Yep.
But it's clean and simple. The place where everything changes is in the interior, as you said.
And I am honestly,
it's all new.
I am shocked by this because generally what the Escalade has been, it has been a step up from your Tahoe interior. And the Tahoe interior right now has been redone and we like it, but we're not in love with it. But for the price point, it was fine.
Yep.
I'm used to stepping into an Escalade after that, and I just see the nicer version of the Tahoe interior. This is bespoke for this, it looks nothing like the Tahoe interior.
sure.
And the minute I sat down in here, I went, $100,000. Now I start to get it.
And it justifies it because
Yes, it does.
Cadillac shouldn't be for everybody. They have to set the price point, and it keeps asking me what I want to do. They set the price point, and that's what you're buying. You should be this aspirational market over here.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that everywhere on the interior, you know how it used to be all about that Cadillac shield, the Pentagon shape everywhere with the split down the middle? That's gone. I've been talking about this for years. It's gone, and it's better. It's smooth, clean lines. If you saw these just painted white, you'd be kind of bored. But the differentiator is the materials. Not just the leather, but there's textiles on the doors.
Yes, yes.
It actually works, and it feels high-end.
It feels like a boat. That this looks like somebody was looking at a yacht interior and applied that thinking to a big SUV. And why not? This is your land yacht.
People with money have yachts.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's keep it going.
It feels very much like that. We have 3 different OLED screens that have a curve to them. Cadillac's very proud of that. But each of these 3 screens does give you different info, and yet they're all very clear, and they are unique to this. They're not like, oh, I saw that in this other brand. No, this is the Cadillac version of this. I'm very curious to see where this trickles down to, but right now I'm amazed at how different and unique this is.
Well, shouldn't the Escalade set the tone
It should,
for
absolutely,
tech for every other
Yes, it
Cadillac
should.
model below that? The CT4 didn't, obviously, but here we are. As Todd said, with these screens, it's super thin, but they're actually layered here, which gives visual interest, but they work really well. Suddenly the interface, the Q system is gone.
Yeah, long gone, yeah.
The interface is easy to use, it makes sense, it's clear, even though this one does not have Super Cruise, and it does have the augmented navigation, which turns this into a giant screen using the cameras on the front.
Yeah.
It'll tell you, it'll give you the arrows very clear right above the car is actually
visuals,
seeing. And so therefore, it's gotten good for the systems that we like Mercedes and FCA Uconnect and a few others. This is up there now.
Absolutely, and they've done a good job with giving you the option where you can either use the touch screens and get it to do stuff, or you can be down here on the knob and the buttons. Your preference. And they're both easy to use, actually. I have noticed that the buttons have a bit of a delay. The touch screen is pretty quick. The buttons, you can kind of tell it's thinking and it's moving that around. So that's a little bit of a problem. I'm being picky to say that, but I like the fact that you can use all the buttons, volume knob, all that kind of stuff, or you can go, you know what, I want to be up here, touch screen. We're all conditioned to touch screens. It works great in that regard. It is 2 ways of interfacing with it, and they're both good.
Something else that is different here is the audio system. This does have the AKG audio system. You know AKG for headphones and microphones and corporate systems and that kind of thing. They've never actually built an automotive audio system before, and I like that Cadillac is looking for something different than just the typical Bose and Burmester and everybody else is doing that. This has 36 speakers and 2 speakers in each headrest here.
They're everywhere.
They are absolutely everywhere. Luxury is space and time. This doesn't have Super Cruise, so I can't give you your time back, but it does have a lot of space. And then with the audio system and the materials, look at this wood.
I know.
Look at the screens.
It looks great. It looks great.
The stainless steel speaker grills. Everything you touch and look at is now sort of up to this Cadillac word.
Well, and it feels like a $100,000 vehicle, which is sometimes not the case. And I do have to say, again, and I want to jump over there as well, I am really surprised at how well it holds its own against that big Mercedes that we like,
Crazy
which is
enough.
$50,000 more.
Totally different thinking, totally different platform. It's a body on frame with a huge V8.
Yeah.
A little bit different. You got to drive this, though.
Yep, for sure.
Ooh, they do the thing.
They do the squeeze,
The
of course they do.
squeeze, they grab you.
Yep. One of the big differences between this and that GLS we keep comparing it to, I'm sorry to keep coming back to that, but that was a real standout for us. And it is also a 7-seater with yacht thinking that has a luxury feel and luxury price. And so I really want to put this alongside it so much because of that similar space. I actually think this is going to give you more space overall, but as a result, it also feels enormous. This never stops feeling big. And even though, as we've already said, it's got really good body control, it rides much better than I expected it to.
Despite the 22s, it doesn't crash over bumps.
It doesn't. Slow
cruises.
parking lots maybe, but when you get up to speed, it just absorbs everything.
Yeah.
You just forget that you ran over stuff. Be careful as a result.
Yeah.
This is huge. It feels huge. You're in a fortress on wheels.
People like that.
Yes,
Buyers like that. That
absolutely.
is yacht thinking right there.
But
this is yacht thinking.
it's-
Fortress yacht, huge is yacht thinking.
It's also American
Yeah.
truck thinking,
It
which
is.
which is very easy
It
to
is.
define when you think about the Germans are coming at their Mercedes large SUVs, and then here we have Americans who make big trucks coming at a large SUV. You see how the split happens very quickly.
For
I
sure.
have generally not been too much of a fan of the Escalade because I didn't understand why the upcharge from the Tahoe and Yukon.
Well, it's usually the same instrument panel,
Yes.
same buttons, same everything. And
Yes.
a few different materials and a few badges. This is entirely different
Yes.
on the inside.
They've differentiated
That's where it stands
themselves.
out.
It's very impressive. And okay, $110,000 with no Super Cruise is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It's
Let's
hard
not
to
kid
swallow
ourselves.
without
It
the
is.
extra tech that
It
Gio's
is.
been talking about for a long time.
However, you get in this and it feels luxurious. It feels like it's very high end. So I'm not
Yeah.
saying that 110 grand, oh, it's an easy get two. I'm not saying that. But I do
That's
think
yacht thinking.
that is yacht thinking. We'll just get a couple because we don't live in the same place all the time. We'll get one for each house. It'll be great.
Right.
One for that dock and one for this one. The thing I do think is interesting is I like it when we get into a car and we see the price and we go, yeah, that seems worth it. It's expensive, but it seems like you know where your money went. And I feel like I'm in
Completely
something
agree.
where I understand where the money went. I do have a gripe. Apparently, this is my gripe
All right.
for the industry at large, and nobody else cares. I don't like how everybody's putting their vents down close to your knees, and they're all small slits and don't blow a whole lot of air. You even crank this up,
Okay.
and it doesn't. I don't think for something this large
Not
with this
large.
much air and space to actually cool off or heat up, these should be bigger hose vents. We need to get
Hmm.
air moving. Now, the argument is I can turn on my heated and cooled seats over here and I can
Yeah.
make myself feel great, but I'm talking about you and the entire family in the cabin driving across 100-degree heat in the summer to your road trip for your family
Sure,
vacation.
sure.
You need to be able to moving a huge volume of air through here to keep everybody cool while the sun's on them. These vents aren't big enough. It's not a Cadillac problem. It's an industry-wide problem. Everybody is going with these really small slit vents placed very low in the dash because our screens are above it, and I just don't think it's enough. And I'm
Just touch your
concerned
cooled
about that.
seat button over
Yes,
here.
you can. Meanwhile, this does have massage seats, heated
we
and
go.
cooled seats. It does do everything. This has got like 16 or 18-way monster
Whoa.
seats that do all kinds of stuff. Yeah, be careful. That
Whoa.
cooled seat is serious.
It's serious.
It is serious.
That's one of the better ones I found.
That's making up for the vents. You
It
see what
really
I'm saying?
kind of is.
That's really what was funny. Is
I
I actually
think I don't mind that.
got pretty personal over there, didn't it?
It really did.
It really got like, I don't think I know you that well, Cadillac, but thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you for the fun, but wow.
Yeah, but
For
I
sure.
did find that when I was driving this car in the heat, because it has gotten warm here fast this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I used the cooled seat to make me cool, it was rapid.
Cooled seat technology has come a long
Yeah,
way.
it was rapid and it felt
is
good, and I got
great.
myself cooled off quickly. But if I was relying on the vents, and let's be honest, that's the primary thing that should do it,
Mm-hmm.
they weren't quite good enough.
See, I don't mind the vents. I think they're doing a good job. I think it's fine.
Okay,
but
I think it's my thing because
might
I've
be a
been annoyed
Texas
by it. I've been annoyed by it on a lot of
thing.
cars
All
of
right,
late, so I have
fair
to bring it
enough,
up here.
fair
But
enough.
I don't actually think outside of that I can think of a single misstep in the interior. I just like it, and it works
Absolutely. And that is high praise. I am with you because this is now to the level of what we love about Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the place you just want to be. Whether you're driving or sitting, you just want to be here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't care what we're doing or where we're going. That's a different level, and that's about the experience in a car,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily how it drives. To get to how it drives, okay, you got to pay more, or in Cadillac sedans, it needs to be doing this kind of thing to justify sedan sales and to justify the Cadillac badge. And therefore, yes, 100 grand, 110 grand. Sure.
That big V8 sounds good too.
Sounds good. You're
It-
right.
it feels
American
like-
truck with this kind of luxury.
It feels like Dad bought a muscle
Yes.
car. You know, it has that kind of
Yes.
big, throaty growl when you get
the
into
fuel
it.
gauge is going to reflect that. by
Yeah,
the
it
way.
will.
It's
Also,
still not good.
this is so simple, but this is a gauge that actually goes to 160 miles an hour, but it only illuminates for how fast you're going. That is such a
Right.
simple decision, and it is very elegant.
Yeah.
And it feels really involving. It makes
Yeah.
glancing at either the gauge or the numbers in the center, because so many cars, they have the numbers in the center now, and all I ever do is look at the numbers in the center.
Yeah,
I'm unaware of what the gauge is showing me.
Sure,
This
sure.
gauge begs you to look at it. It
right.
asks you
Yeah.
to look at it, and it has a little tick mark, green tick mark, kind of like on a slide rule. I know I'm going way back.
Wow.
That marks Mach-E.
Oh, yeah.
That marks where you set your cruise control. Now, this one does not have Super Cruise, and I wish we did.
I
but
wish it did, too.
It does have a little tick mark there that works really well. I got in this holding my breath, and the minute I started sitting in it and driving it, I thought, this is really great.
It is. It is. Cadillac kind of redeemed yourself here.